Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Cyber Gurukul. So let's start diving into Kafka. Today we'll talk about two concepts. One is consumer groups and the second is about partitions. So let's understand both of them, and of course as always we would be using our demo to understand it better. Okay, a little bit of theory out of the way first. So what are consumer groups? Just a second. Yeah. So as you remember, in our Kafka consumer, we had specified two parameters in the listener. One was the topic to which we were subscribing to, and second is the group to which this particular consumer belonged to. Right. So consumer groups allow us to have multiple instances of our consumer. What do I mean by an instance here? So let's say there is this order processing system. Okay, even before we go into that, let us try to understand it from a physical world point of view. So we go to a pizza store and we are placing an order for a pizza, and there are lots of people like us. So we, as well as the other producers, are producing these orders, right? Producing these messages. Now, if all our orders were being served one after the other, it would take an awfully long time, right? So, in order to improve the efficiency, let's say the pizza shop owner decided to employ a few more pizza makers, okay, few more chefs, and they service our orders in parallel, right? Essentially. So that's like having multiple consumers consuming our orders and doing something with it. Okay, so multiple pizzas are being made. Now if we just add the consumers, if there was no consumer group concept, for example, then what would happen is I go and place an order for a pizza, and then every consumer out there gives me a pizza. So I was trying to order one pizza and I get four pizzas. That's not a good thing, right? Well, we can argue that it depends on how many times I'm being billed, but then based on how the consumer who was preparing the orders worked, we can argue that the person preparing the consumers preparing the bills might behave in a similar way. Okay. All right, jokes apart, consumer group is a construct which allows a group of consumers to act as a single unit. So no matter how many producers are producing to a particular topic, only once would that message from the topic be consumed, and it would be consumed by one of the consumers who are part of that consumer group. So somebody would take our order and prepare it, somebody would give us a bill for that order, and so on and so forth. Okay, I hope that real world example helped us visualize it. So let's quickly modify this consumer class a little bit so that we can see what is going on. Okay, just give me a minute. Let's call it CG1. Okay, fine, and we make a few copies so that we have multiple consumers in parallel. All right, so three consumers in consumer group 1 and one consumer in a different consumer group, just to see what is going on. Fine. Now let's talk about partitions. So every topic, we had taken an example of tables, okay, to understand the analogy, right? So there are tables with rows and rows of data. There are topics with lots of messages in them, okay, and every message is like a record, like a row of data in a traditional RDBMS. Okay, now let's say the amount of data has grown to a very large level, okay, large amount, and our queries are suffering like anything. So what do we do at that point of time? Well, there are many different ways in which we can tune our queries. There are many different approaches that we can take to see what is best. We can even try to denormalize a bit. But if we have to do um, one thing, like if we want to make sure that we are reducing the number of queries, then we can go for an approach called sharding. Okay, so sharding is an approach wherein we do a partitioning of the entire database, and we have all the data which is related and which is likely to be fetched together in one place. Okay, so because there is less amount of data to transport back and forth and less number of nodes to query, because of the way we have arranged the data, the performance improves. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let's say we have sharded our data based on the city. Okay, so that means that whenever we make a query and city is part of the query. Okay, it's one of the criterion which are used in the query itself. We know that all the data related to that particular city are going to be present only on one particular node, right? Only on one particular instance. So sharding will allow us to not query any other instance, just go to that one instance and get whatever is required, and that particular instance actually contains less data, because data based on the city, different data goes to different nodes, right? I hope you are able to see what is happening. So every shard is called as a partition. We will do a deep dive into how exactly partitioning happens. Okay, there's a concept of consistent hashing that we need to understand. um, and I mean, we will try to cover it in one specific lecture for that, where we can go into more detail related to how Kafka handles it, and also how some other distributed systems like Cassandra handle it. For this particular demo, let's just understand that the data is divided into multiple partitions. A partition is the same as a shard. Okay, and all the data in one partition is stored on a single broker, that is on one server within a cluster. Okay, so the concept is we want to reduce the number of brokers that we have to query for any particular query. Okay, I hope that made sense. Now we want to see which particular broker did we send the message to, right? So if you see this method Kafka template.send, it is returning a listenable future. So we'll have to do a future.get and block on it, so that ultimately when this topic is published to Kafka, we can get back the details about which partition um, it was ultimately published to. So let's do just that. Okay, so let's create a local variable there, and it's of type listenable future. Okay, now if we do a future.get, then we are getting a send result. Okay, and if we do a dot partition, I think, oh no, we need to get the metadata first, right? So here we can get the partition and we can also get the offset. Okay, so let's create another variable here. And we'll do a sysout. Let's say message. All right, so we just had this exception here. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, looks like our code is ready. Let's go and get Kafka up and running. Okay, so while the zookeeper is coming up, it will just take a minute, and let's bring Kafka up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Looks like Kafka as well as the zookeeper are up. Good. So let's start our application here. And let's see what's happening. Okay. All right. Well, ignore that. Those are a few messages that I had created before. And just to start on a clean note, let us stop and relaunch it this time. Wait a minute. I think I had set it to from beginning. Yeah, I have set it to earliest. Okay, fine. So, all right. So if you can, if you can see these messages here, so consumer group 1, partition number 0, partition number 2, and partition number 3. These have been assigned to one of the three consumers that we have created. So every consumer is responsible for just one partition, whereas all the three partitions are given to the sole CG2 consumer that we have. If a new consumer joins this consumer group, then there'll be a redistribution, and we will, I mean, since we are having two consumers and three consumer groups, two will go to one consumer and one will go to the other one, but we are not gonna see that today. Okay. All right, so let's start producing some messages and see what happens. Okay, let's publish something else this time, and let's say we want a burger. Okay, and maybe a burger with fries, and burger with fries and mustard. And maybe somebody doesn't like mustard, they want it with ketchup. Okay, so there are four orders which have been published, and maybe there are multiple orders with ketchup. All right. Okay, so let's see what's happening. So the first one, the first order that we had published. Okay, looks like there's a problem with our sysout. Yeah, we should have had it as CG2 here. Okay, anyway, let's quickly see what is happening. So burger was published to partition 2 with offset 8. The next one went to partition 0 with offset 8. Now what this means is that partition 0 already had 7 messages there, and same with partition 2. Now I want you to pay attention to what is happening here and here. A new message goes to partition 2 and it has a offset of 9. So remember, whenever a new message comes into a partition, there's an increment of the offset that happens, and this increment happens, it can be a very large number. Okay, it can be uh, uh, it can be a very big positive number. It starts from 0 and goes all the way to a very big number. It continues to always increment. Okay, there is no reset which happens of offsets. So it's not like when the queue is cleared the offset will go back to 0. No, that never happens. Okay, so different messages are going to different partitions. And also it is the exact same message, fries and ketchup, but it has gone to 3 different partitions. Okay, so this is a concept that we need to remember. The content of the message has nothing to do with which partition it would go to, but if we add a key into the mix, then we are guaranteed that every message having the same key will go to the same partition. Now what do I mean by that? Let me quickly go back to the producer here. So there is another signature here which we can use. Okay, so Kafka template dot send. So this is the one that we used, where we are only using the topic and the data sent. But if you see here, we also have a different signature, an overloaded method which accepts a key. Okay, now if we pass on the key, then Kafka guarantees that all the messages having the same key will end up going to the same partition, and this is what will help us during our queries, because if we are going to have this key as part of the query, then Kafka knows which particular partition has all the data, right? So Kafka will not even bother sending that query to anywhere else. And yeah, that's how we speed up the performance. Okay, so I think that's it, because this particular video was supposed to be quick and it is becoming a bit long. So I'll be back with some other concepts. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time.